Hey guys. So, this is going to be, I've done kind of like Facebook Lives before, but I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different. I love writing on the blog, but I feel like some of the concepts that I really want to share on the blog just come off better in video. And so, I'm going to give this a try. We'll see how it goes. I want you guys to let me know though at the end or after you've watched this video if you think that it's helpful for me to explain this via video or if you prefer written word. I'm just really curious what your guys' thoughts are, but I feel like this might give me a chance to kind of speak a little bit more emphatically in a way that I may not be able to translate as well in written format. So today what I really wanted to share with you guys and talk to you guys about is overcomplication, especially when it comes to food. And you can apply overcomplication to multiple areas of your life, but I'm going to try and kind of wrap it up into food and help you see why we tend to make food way more complicated than it actually needs to be and what that's really actually a symptom of. So if you saw my feed yesterday, you saw that I shared this really, really simple way to prepare eggs and make a breakfast, and it's really, really easy. Like, anyone that argues that making scrambled eggs is hard is like, you can get out of here. But what I really wanted to show though and talk about was how everybody thinks that making food has to be really complicated or making good food has to be complicated. And in reality, it does not. It can be so unbelievably simple, and simple does not mean bad. So, but let's back it up and ask ourselves, like, why do we overcomplicate everything? Why do we think in our minds that it has to be complicated, or that I don't have time, or that I don't have money, or that I don't have all these things? We come up with all these reasons why we can't eat healthfully or prepare food for ourselves at home because we think it's going to be too much. So all of those things, all of these, it's too hard, it's not simple enough, there's too much money involved, I can't afford this, da 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 da. All of those things, all those are really, I know everybody hates this word, but they're excuses, and more than excuses, they are deflections. So what does that mean? It means that you are trying to deflect away from the hard thing. You're trying to avoid doing the thing that you think is hard. And really what that means is that you are deflecting out of self-preservation to avoid failure. I'll say that again. Excuses and deflection are a way to self-preserve your ego and avoid failure. So some of these things, some of these excuses or deflections are like totally accepted by society. I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, that good food is really, really hard to make. If you see me referring to my notes, because I've got notes. Or that here's a really, really big one, and this can be about anything, that failure says something about you, that it makes you somehow less valuable, that it means that you aren't smart or that you're not good enough or whatever. And so these very societally accepted like excuses or deflections are what we lean on to avoid that risk of failure. And why do we avoid failure? Because we think that it will lead to us being rejected, ridiculed, being alone, all of those things. And you may be thinking like, Rach, you're really drawing a lot out of this when it comes to like people just wanting to avoid making food for themselves. Like, but I want you to hear me out. Like, ask yourself really, truly, and deeply, like, why do you avoid something? Why are you avoiding something? Is it because you think that it's going to cause you pain? Do you think that it's going to cause you struggle? And why are you trying to avoid struggle? Because you're uncomfortable with that emotion? Because you're not used to it? Because you spent your whole life avoiding failure? You might want to think about that. And when it comes to food, we have this tendency to believe that simple isn't good enough, or that simple is bland or tasteless, and that just simply isn't true. Now, there's the whole argument in talking about how our taste buds have really been altered by processed foods, and we're consuming so much salt, sugar, and fat, and MSG, and all of these things, all these processed foods that make what we now perceive as like normal tasting food, which is actually hyper palatable food, it makes normal food, whole foods, taste bland and flavorless. But that's another subject for another day, and I can definitely talk about that at another point. But generally speaking, simple food can be absolutely delicious, but you have to appreciate it for what it is. Just because you love cheeseburgers, you can't expect this beautiful salad to taste like as intense as a cheeseburger. Like, you just can't. So when we think about trying to make food a bit more simple, what does that bring up for you? Does it bring up this feeling of, oh, it really can't be that simple? But my question is, like, what if it is? What if it really is super simple? What if it really is that easy? Ask yourself, what am I drawing up? What's coming up for me when I think about what if the solution was actually really simple? And if it is simple and we're not acting on it, what are we letting that say about us? If the simple solution to eating healthy food is buying whole foods, preparing it at home in a simple, uncomplicated way, but you haven't been able to bring yourself to do that because of all of those reasons that you've got in your mind, think about what you are subconsciously telling yourself. Think about where those insecurities are coming from, where that fear of failure is coming from, and ask yourself, is that even real? Is that even legitimate? Should I actually really be concerned about this? Because cooking is easy. And if you fail at cooking, it says nothing about you. It just says that it didn't work that time that you tried it. You can certainly try it again and again and again and again. It's like learning any skill. But telling yourself that you don't like doing something because you had some bad experiences in the past, or that you can't because it's too complicated, those are reasons that your mind loves to come up with to tell you that you shouldn't even bother trying, that you should fail on your own terms so you're not failing on someone else's proverbial terms and potentially looking like a fool or potentially being ridiculed, when in reality, if you cook something and mess it up, nobody cares. Like, really, nobody cares. That's like thinking that somebody cares what you really and truly, like, somebody cares what you look like outside of your immediate family. Like, nobody cares. And even then, your family members probably don't care. What they care about is your effort. What they care about is the intent and the thought behind it. So when you are thinking about, what do I make for dinner tonight? Don't worry about whether or not it's like top quality, that it's perfect, that it's super, super delicious. Worry about the intent behind it. Worry about the energy that you are putting behind it. And don't set yourself up for misery by telling yourself that it's going to be hard. Think about, what would this look like if it was actually super simple? This morning, making my eggs. Yeah, you can make eggs in a really complicated way, but you don't need to, and they're just as delicious either way. Same thing with anything else that you decide to make. You can make complicated food, sure. Food Network has shown us that yes, you can make food very complicated, but you don't have to. And healthy food doesn't need to be complicated. It can be really, really simple. So I want you guys to come away with this concept that regardless of whether it's about food, relationships, your work, whatever it is, try thinking about, what if the solution was actually really simple? What if it's really that simple? Am I overlooking this super easy thing? And if you are overlooking this super easy thing and trying to create complication in your mind, ask yourself why you're doing that. Okay, I hope that this was helpful. More of a video today about like insight, really asking yourself these deep questions. And what I love about doing this kind of work for myself is it simply helps me bring awareness to my own mind. It brings me awareness to my own attitude, and then I can decide for myself whether or not I like those reasons that my mind has created for why I can or can't do something. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day.